Okay, I'm back. I'm trying to see what's going on. Let me try it again. Try it again, cause okay, I think I'm live now. Let's see. Let me go back over here and start this again. I don't know what happened, but yeah, okay. All right, I'm live now. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one and only Stock Sniper, and I don't know what happened with that other live, but sometimes this stuff, technical difficulties is a must. Like yesterday, if you was on the live doing the walk down, I don't know what happened, but yesterday the live just cut off for the viewers, but I was still live. So sometimes we have technical difficulties when it comes to this, and you just gotta, figure it out on the fly. Like I say, I'm new to this, so every day, and sometimes it's hiccups, and you just got to work through them. That's all. So let me get back over here where I was. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one on the Stock Sniper. And on this live right here, we was having a conversation. I hear so many people talk about uh, the poor. I hear people talk about the poor getting poor and the rich getting richer. And I want to talk about that a little bit but I want to talk on the lower level. I want to talk on the regular basic level of a basic, human being, starting from when you have the ability to go to work, when you have the ability to provide for yourself, and it starts basically like uh, my daughter started working at 15 years old, and it starts at an early age. And the mindset of poor and the rich getting richer, is it starts with the way you think, and it also starts with the people ahead of you, like your grandparents, and it starts with basically your foundation on how you think and how you are raised, and basically how you put the work in. Everybody works, everybody earns an income, everybody make a living. Majority of people in this, how can I put it, in this community, because I think that the average working person, the average American, uh, is in the same community, right? And just like when people say the poor get poor and the rich get rich, it's a process, right? The wealthy people had to start somewhere, whether it's them starting and going from nothing to something, whether it's a transfer down from generation to generation. Everybody starts from zero, no matter if it happened in the 1800s, no matter if you start from zero right now. Unfortunately, a lot of bad decisions that a lot of people make, a lot of our ancestors make, uh, it hinders the development of the next generation. I'm gonna just put it like that. So, as individuals, we have to understand that distractions and uh, distractions and the decisions we make in life, what you do in life, what you put yourself to do every single day, the work you put in, it reflects on the back end. It reflects on the back end, right? And yes, the wealthy people inherit money. Regular average people inherit things too, right? Regular average people. I'm gonna cut the comments off because right now this is not what. No, I ain't gonna cut it off. I'm just gonna ignore it. Regular people inherit things too, and what we have to do is be more consistent on what we do in life. In other words, find something you love to do. Stop worrying about the wealthy. Stop worrying about other people. Stop worrying about what other people have received and didn't receive, and start focusing on what we as a people need to focus on. And it's hard for people to do three things, which is the first thing is easy. Everybody go out and make money. It's called an earn. Everybody goes out and earn income. The number two step is very, very difficult, which is number two step is to manage your finances, manage your money, manage the amount of money that you are pushing out. Find something you love to do. Master that craft. Step two is to spend less money. Manage your life. In the last step is make proper investments with the money that you are saving. And stick to that plan. This next step, after you are doing those and you start putting your priorities in order and you start having a family and you start having kids, the next step is to teach your kids, teach your nieces, teach your nephews, teach your cousin. In other words, teach your family these same principles. We all go out and make money, we make a living. Make sure that your living is something that you love to do. Number two, stop spending money that we don't, stop buying things that you do not need. Only buy the things that you need. If it's something that you want, eliminate that until you get to a certain threshold. The access of those funds that you're making, you educate yourself about investing and you invest. And then you build relationships and socialize with individuals that are doing the same thing, have the same common goal. And practice that every single day, every single week, every single year, long term. Don't have the mindset of a poor mindset. A poor mindset absolutely has nothing to do with money. It has something to do with your plan, your blueprint on how you live your life, your foundation on how you live your life and how you teach others. In other words, discipline. Discipline. A lot of us have a hard time with something as simple as discipline. Discipline. staying in our own lane, minding our own business, and focus on the things that I'm talking about in this video. So with that being said, we're going to watch this video. A very, very powerful conversation. And then I'm going to come back and react. And we're going to close this out. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. And this video is about specifically making an earn, spend less, and making proper investments and teach it to your kids and grandkids. And understanding the money transfer that's happening right now. A lot of people like to call it the wealth transfer, but we have to take these terminologies and break it down so anybody can understand the money transfer. That's how the wealthy, a key component on how the wealthy stay wealthy and get more wealth. It is a blueprint. It is a disciplined blueprint. Earn, spend less, invest over time. So here we go. I'm finna quit running my mouth and we finna watch this video. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. Here we go, guys. What's up, Margaret? How you doing? Hope you're having a great day. You have just entered the best chat room on YouTube. Appreciate you. William, appreciate you for joining me. You have just entered the best chat room on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. We appreciate you. Lou Sack, love Trumponautics. Appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you. Love Trumponomics. Yes. Yeah. The thing is, guys, this money transfer, anybody on any income level, I don't care if you work at Jack in the Box or Whataburger, you can be a part of this money transfer. Let me say it again. I don't care where you work at. If you work at Jack in the Box, Whataburger, McDonald's, you could be a part of this money transfer that is happening right as we speak. It is a money transfer from the people that spend a lot to the people that invest. That's the simplest way I can put it. It's a money transfer from the people that spend a lot, going from the people that spend a lot to the people that are investing and the business owners. It's very, very simple to be a part of this money transfer. And it's a 3-step process. It's called make or earn, spend less, and invest in the right things. So money transfer. And what's happening is that they use distractions to keep us from understanding the money transfer. That's what happens. That's why it's very, very important to stay laser focused, stay in your own lane, mind your own business, eliminate all the bullshit in 2025 and beyond, and focus on being part of this money transfer. Let's go. Hey, Tita, how you doing? Appreciate you for joining me. I'm your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. And today, we are talking about Trump and the money transfer and how anybody can win. But you got to have your mind right. That's all it takes. You got to think and grow rich. And that is a mindset. But shout out to everybody that's short in the stock market right now. Man, look at this dump on the stock market. The S&P 500 is dumping. Shout out to everybody that's catching the short on this dump on this stock market early this morning. See, guys, you got to know how to multitask. I got a whole setup right here. So as I'm listening to what's going on, I'm also over here checking out and watching the stock market. Look at this dump, guys. Nvidia. It's dumping really, really, really hard. Let's get back over here where we were at.
But the
See, guys, like right now, he's talking about bad habits, right? One of the bad things that most of us have are habits. And bad habits will have kept majority of us in a poor mindset. That's what we're talking about. Poor mindset versus a rich mindset. And habits, whatever the case may be, etc., 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 is the main reason most people stay poor. Because you got to pay attention, guys. We're talking about long term. Majority of the people, if they would minimize habits over a long period of time, can break the habit and the cycle of a poor mindset. Let's keep going. See, you have to love to get up every single morning, right? I love getting up every single morning, coming to my office, coming to this desk. I love getting up every single morning. Why? Because I love the things that I'm doing. I love the things that I'm doing. It starts right there, right? We're talking about money transfer. It starts right there. A money transfer. Guys, it is a wealth transfer, a money transfer happening right now. Right now, this second. It is a money transfer happening right now. Okay, I'm going to give a clear example of what a money transfer and what a wealth transfer is. This dump right here, and we're looking at right now on NVIDIA, this dump from 178.40 down to 173.76 is an example of a money transfer, which is the title of this video. This is an example of a money transfer. And yes, for the guys in the back, you can't make money on the stock market if it goes up or if it goes down. This is an example of a money transfer right here. But the thing is, we got to eliminate the bullshit and the bubble gum and pay attention to what's going on in real life and educate ourselves on how to get involved in this money transfer. What's up, guys? What's up, chat? I appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. And I thank y'all for joining me in the chat. This is the best chat room on YouTube. Really, really appreciate y'all for joining me. You could be anywhere else, but you're kicking it with me. And I appreciate it. Boom. We're not having that. Hey, what's up, Edgar? How you doing? Appreciate you for joining me. You have now just entered The best chat room on YouTube. See, that's why, guys, we have to be focused on the 3-step process. Earn, spend less, and make proper investments, and help and teach others. It's a process, guys. It's long term. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Here we go.
Well, the crowd of angry mobs started together earlier.
See what's going on around the world.
Police quarters, throwing rocks and shoot fireworks into the headquarters. And then the police fired tear gas at them. The crowd then started to burn things around the area. It is now raining heavily in Jakarta right now. And then hopefully the situation is calming down a bit. But people are still gathering, so who knows what will happen later on tonight.
Yeah, we are seeing those live pictures from Jakarta, and as you say, it's raining, but people are still out on the streets.
I hope I put some on y'all mind
us, Siriana, how these demonstrations started.
I hope this has put something on your mind.
It started earlier this week.
Anybody can activate and be a part of this money transfer. I don't care if you work at McDonald's.
10 times of
it
minimum
starts
wage in Indonesia.
small.
People are angry. They feel that
levels
the
to
government
this.
and the parliament do not care about their
It's
situation.
levels.
Their living cost
And it
is
starts
very high
from
right
zero.
now. Jobs hard to find. And then they feel like the rich keep getting richer, but then there's no improvement in their daily life. And then the demonstration getting bigger, then clash happened between the protesters and the police. And then after that, later that night, the motorbike driver got killed by police car. And then the situation even more heated after that.
You just got to put the work in.
Okay, Sirina, thank you so much for the update. That's Al Jazeera's producer, Sirina Hasibuan, on the line there from Jakarta with the latest on those demonstrations. These are the latest pictures we're getting from the Indonesian capital.
And understand it's a process.
Police and protesters on the streets clashing for a second night over the death of a motorcycle driver. But that wasn't the initial anger that the issue that angered protesters, as we've heard from our correspondent. Let's discuss this further now with Wirya Adewina, who's the Deputy Director of Amnesty International Indonesia, joining us from Jakarta. Thank you so much for being with us. As our producer noted there, the capital of Indonesia has seen a series of demonstrations this week with the protests stemming from a number of issues. What are Indonesians most angry about right now?
Well, I think the death of the motorcyclist last night, was something that really triggers a lot of emotional outbursts, because this is the final straw that breaks the camel back. Although these demonstrations has been running quite heatedly in the past couple of days, what we need to understand, this is not even the first demonstration, big large-scale demonstration that's happening this year, or not even the demonstrations or protests that have faced excessive and unnecessary use of force by police forces. There was another demonstrations in August, another one in May, just this year alone. And last year there was a massive demonstrations nearing the end of the year. And all of those demonstrations faced excessive and unnecessary use of force by the police forces. Tear gas was used improperly, water cannons, beatings. So I think when people are seeing with their own eyes a motorcyclist being trampled by a police vehicle, that is just the trigger.
Right. As you say, this is not the first demonstration, but the pictures that we're seeing are quite spectacular, of fires burning in Jakarta. How do these protests fit into Indonesia's longer history of public mobilization over inequality and governance issues? What feels different this time?
Well, what the government needs to understand is that they have been continued to gaslit people's opinion in the past several years. It is only makes sense that the people are trying to shout their voice more loudly. What we are looking in the past several weeks is a blatant show of the parliament, the government dancing around as the people are struggling. Economics are difficult in Indonesia at the moment. Jobs are difficult for Indonesians at the moment. And we know that in Indonesia, one of the biggest pain points for a lot of Indonesians are those jobs, livelihoods. So what's happening now is something that should have been expected if only the government would listen, if only the parliament would listen to the people.
Right. The unrest is no doubt a key test for President Prabowo Subianto. He's already apologized for the excessive use of force that led to the motorcycle driver's death. But what else does he need to do now to quell this anger? What does he need to do for Indonesians to accept, to trust once again their government?
Well, for starter, what you said as the president's apology was actually a non-apology. The president indeed conveyed his condolences. He did express his regret, but he did not apologize to the people. He did not apologize for the excessive use of force. And he did not provide clear action points of what the government will do to solve this big issue. And this is such a big issue that Amnesty International have been documenting multiple excessive use of police force throughout the years, from 2020 to 2022, 2024, 2025, years after years after years, when people are protesting peacefully, police will come with batons, with tear gas, with water cannons. And this requires a clear, concrete actions that reform the police body structurally. Apologies alone, not enough. Regrets alone is not enough. Accountability should go all the way to the top. And that is where the president should have started.
Indonesia, when you look at Indonesia from the outside, it's often seen as a moral democracy in Southeast Asia. Do you think these protests and the state's, the government's response challenge that perception today? And how might this unrest actually affect Indonesia's reputation internationally and in the region, especially as it positions itself as a regional leader in ASEAN?
Well, the government should definitely be worried about what they have been failing to do to uphold that image of democracy. They have been curbing freedom of press. They have been attacking journalists. They have been curbing freedom of expression and freedom of speech. They have been criminalizing criticisms, dissents, online and offline. So I think the government should be very worried about their images abroad in terms of democracy and human rights. But one thing that I am very appreciative of Indonesians, even in these times when the governments are attacking its own people, we are looking at people still continuing to express their criticisms in the street, online. People are still organizing. People are still trying to make things better for their fellow Indonesians. So I think one thing is like what Charles Dickens said, it is the best of time, this is the worst of time. The government has been performing very terribly, but the people are there. The people are there protesting peacefully. The people are there expressing their criticisms. And like we always did, I think Indonesians will still stay true to the traditions of democracy.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us about the situation in Indonesia today. Weria Adewina is the director of Amnesty International Indonesia, and will keep a close eye on the situation in Indonesia for you here on Al Jazeera throughout the day and evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Israeli forces have launched a series of strikes targeting areas sheltering displaced Palestinians across Gaza. At least 41 people have been killed on Friday, including 6 who were seeking food. In the south of the Strip, a drone attack hit tents sheltering the displaced in Al-Mawasi, an area Israel had designated as a so-called safe zone. 5 people were killed and several others were injured. Israeli forces also targeted tents housing displaced people in Khan Yunis. Similar attacks on Palestinians have been carried out in northern Gaza as Israeli forces intensify their efforts to seize Gaza City. At least 8 people have been killed as Israel targeted tents and homes in different neighborhoods, including Tel Al-Hawa. More than 1,500 homes in the Zaytun neighborhood have been destroyed so far this month. Let's get the latest with Al Jazeera's Tariq Abu-Azzoum, who's in Deir al-Balah, central Gaza for us. Tariq, bring us up to speed with what's been happening. Just how intense are the Israeli attacks, especially around Gaza City?
Certainly, there is an undeniable sense of emergency in Gaza City, and I reckon what's unfolding there is the deadly military operation that basically relies on overwhelming firepower. Israel has intensified its attacks and is using also remotely controlled robots to demolish residential areas, each reportedly packed up with at least 7 tons of explosives, enough to level entire neighborhoods to the rubble, as we understand, and that's how we saw the scale of devastation left behind these explosions that are taking place every now and then. And witnesses there fully say that Israel is using, in fact, between 7 and 10 explosives robots on a daily basis in order to destroy vast majority of residential neighborhoods and to push civilians to move into the southern part of Gaza. If we just take a look on the skyline of Gaza City, it's completely now covered in black smoke and white one coming from destroyed residential areas, and civilians there have been talking about a very devastating humanitarian toll that they are still bearing in light of the Israeli continuation of airstrikes. They say that they have been forced to flee under heavy firepower, and they are tentatively now taking shelter in the western end of Gaza City that is also remains under very huge Israeli military pressure taking place in that portion of the city. They say that they are left stranded with nowhere safe to go. And in terms of the casualties and the death toll since dawn today, according to initial medical reports that we have got from Gaza's health ministry, we are talking about over 40 Palestinians have been killed since dawn.
Hold on a second, guys. I'll be right back.
With the Israeli military activities are still obviously seen and observed in the central and southern parts of Gaza, in particular in the city of Khan Yunis, which is also another active military front in which Palestinian armed factions and Israeli forces are trading fire, and Israel is still gradually working on those 2 main fronts. I mean here, Gaza City and Khan Yunis in the south of the Strip, as Israel says. These are the last 2 remaining strongholds for Palestinian armed factions that Israel is determined to control and to reoccupy as well.
Tariq, thank you for the update. Tariq Abu-Azzoum, live for us in Deir al-Balah, central Gaza. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme says the food that is being allowed into the Gaza Strip is not enough to prevent widespread starvation. The recent declaration of famine in Gaza City has led to growing international calls for Israel to prioritize the urgent revival of hundreds of UN-run food distribution points. Hani Mahmoud reports from a UNICEF medical point in Gaza City where children are being screened and treated for malnutrition.
So we are in one of Gaza UNICEF-supported nutrition centers where families would bring their children to be checked for malnutrition. The United Nations just confirmed the famine across the Strip, but the situations on the ground shows us what those words really mean. In a little bit, we're going to go inside and see many of the cases that are being screened by UNICEF staff who are visiting today this medical point and nutrition center in the heart of this displacement sites in Gaza City.
It's clear that on the ground that famine is absolutely ravaging Gaza City. This is our third stop today, and the other two were right on the edge of the evacuation order. And there were so many displaced families there with malnourished children, parents in complete despair because they have run out of options. And you can see here it's again very crowded and busy. Lots of parents coming to seek support and having their children screened. I just met a father with his little 2-year-old girl who's got acute malnutrition, and she's only slowly putting on weight with the treatment that we're giving her because the situation is just so serious.
UNICEF supported nutrition center. What kind of assistance are you offering to these families? I know they're coming to the center to get their children checked for malnutrition. What's available for them?
So first of all, they get screened. So they come over here and we do a screening of the child's arm. And then in terms of what's available, we've got prevention treatment and treatments for children who have malnutrition. So the prevention is things to try and stop them from getting sicker, particularly if they're on the
I'm back, guys.
And then for the very sick children, we have a treatment called ready-to-use therapeutic.
All right, now we got,
Basically
I got to switch from
that's
over here.
administered to
want this to result in some change when it comes to gun violence and mental health. Gine?
Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen, thank you so much for providing the latest details in this investigation.
Gotta get an update about
calls for gun reform spanning across the U.S. following this tragedy. Looking behind you, Connor, you know, it's 2 days since that tragedy unfolded there at Annunciation, a Catholic church and school. And I must say, this seems like the largest crowd I've seen at that memorial. Can you set the tone and mood behind you?
Oh, man, I left my jug on the other side.
Yeah, most definitely. We've been seeing people showing up all day.
Hold on one more time, guys. I apologize.
Today. You can see flowers behind me, candles. People are leaving notes here. It's a very somber scene. People getting quite emotional as they walk through there, taking this all in. You know, sometimes after an event like this, it takes a day or two for some people to fully start to process what happened here. We've seen people even stopping to pray. This, of course, is a house of worship. We're expecting to see these crowds continue throughout the rest of this week.
Connor Hansen with Fox News, thank you so much for the detailed report. Have a great and safe rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Gine Francine. We're going to step aside for another 2-minute commercial break. More top stories and headlines when we return.
What's up, what's up, what's up, chat? Appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one and only Stock Sniper.
Hani Mahmoud, Al Jazeera from Gaza City, Palestine.
In other developments, Turkey has announced it will sever economic and trade ties with Israel and has closed its airspace to Israeli aircraft. Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan condemned the international community's lack of action to end the genocide in Gaza.
The silence of the international community has given Israel the moral support and power to continue its current policies in Gaza. This has been done through the unconditional support of the U.S. We have said many times the international community is unable to find solutions in the face of Israel's aggression. We are now paying the price for this inability. We condemn Israel's actions and we condemn the genocide. We, Turkey, along with Egypt and Qatar, will continue to look for a solution for Gaza. Past negotiations have indicated that Israel is not interested in solutions for the Palestinian cause, but it instead intends to occupy more Palestinian land and continues to block aid into Gaza.
Joining us now on the News Hour is Al Jazeera's correspondent Rasul Sadar. Rasul, quite significant, the statement from the Turkish foreign minister, especially given that Turkey was one of the first Muslim majority country to recognize Israel.
Indeed, it was just months after the foundation of Israel in 1948. Turkey was the first Muslim majority country that recognized Israel, and both countries have enjoyed great relations for decades. So there were military cooperations between the two, intelligence sharing cooperation, the technology sharing cooperations. You will almost on regular basis see that the military drills, joint military drills being conducted on the Turkish soils and so on. But that has changed dramatically in 2010 when Israel attacked an international aid flotilla and killed 12 Turkish citizens. And since then, we have seen that the relations got quite tense, but not severe. So there was American pressure both on Israel and Turkey to come together and to find a solution. And eventually they have agreed, just a couple of years ago, they have agreed, and they have reappointed the ambassadors both to Tel Aviv and Ankara. But October 7th has changed lots of things, and the Israelis following actions after the...
Chat, look at this. Look at how Gaza looks. It's worse than the scene on The Walking Dead. Look at that, guys. Look at that. And we are over here in America complaining, and look at those people living situation.
October 7th. So now there are no ambassadors both in Tel Aviv and Ankara. However, still a certain level of diplomatic engagement is there. There are Israeli diplomats in Ankara and Turkish diplomats in Tel Aviv. But now, almost 2 years on, you're seeing that it's getting intenser and tenser. And it is not only about the humanitarian crisis that's unfolding in Gaza. Turkey gradually is perceiving Israel as a national security threat. Israeli expansions toward the region, Turkey and the security teams or the diplomats in Ankara are seeing that if Israel is not stopped, eventually there might be a direct military confrontation between these two countries. So
what is Turkey trying to achieve right now on Gaza with a statement like this?
I think here the main disappointment is the inactivity of the Western world, namely the European Union and the United States. So as an alternative, what I understand from his statements and also talking to some people in Ankara, with information or having close ties with the foreign minister, is that he is now trying to mobilize the regional consensus, namely mostly primarily with the Arab countries, and then addressing the global south and the mid-powers. And then also talking to Americans, because they know that it is the only country, the US is the only country that can really exert an influence on Israel and stop Israelis' devastating actions over there, and telling Americans that Israeli actions are not only destabilizing the region, are not only causing the killing or the death of thousands and thousands of Palestinians, but these kind of actions are eventually going to backfire and going to come up with a huge cost for you as well. You are losing the ground here. So if you are after your interest, then you need to put a pressure. So mobilizing the regional countries, mobilizing the global south and the mid-powers, and also trying to convince the US that this is not only against the stability of the country, but also against the interests of the USA as well.
Rasul, thank you very much for that. Rasul Sadar on the News Hour with us.
Literally tens of thousands of volunteers from all over our state and all over our nation showed up to help. Today, we thank those volunteers. And one of the things that makes me most proud to be a Mississippian is we remember those individuals who came here in the immediate aftermath. And every single time there's a storm or a calamity or a disaster around our nation, Mississippians give back, and we show up because we know what it means to give.
Today is the 20th anniversary of Katrina in New Orleans. Shout out to everybody in New Orleans.
Give because of the volunteers that came here. We began rebuilding one home, one church, one school, and one business at a time. Our state's people were certainly tested, but if you take a look around this beautiful place now, it's hard to imagine that Hurricane Katrina impacted us in the way that it did. We have built bigger and we have built better since Katrina made landfall. We erected bridges and we repaved roads. We constructed classrooms and we beautified our beaches. We said to the world, we will not allow any storm to keep us down. We're going to get up and we're going to stand taller than ever before. And that is exactly what Mississippians did. Throughout it all, our faith was tested. It would have been easy for many of you to sit around and ask, why did this happen to us? But you never did. Throughout it all, and despite the destruction, we thank the Lord for his many blessings. In the 46th chapter of Psalms, it says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. The Lord Almighty is with us. Throughout it all, we knew God was with us. And thanks to him, when you look around Mississippi today, you see a meteoric rise to greatness. We're attracting record capital investment in our state. More of our people are working in Mississippi today than ever before. The nation is saying our kids are making miracles happen in the classroom, and they are proving to the world that Mississippi is not making news, we're making history. Katrina taught us a lot, but it didn't teach us about ourselves. We knew who we were all along, and we knew what we were capable of. We answered a once-in-a-generation call to service, and time again, we did whatever was needed to help our state recover. When I think about Hurricane Katrina, I can't help but think about something that, as I look back on it, seems extraordinary. I think about Eli's mom, who lived in Ocean Springs and happened to be a principal in an elementary school right here in Gulfport. Not long after the storm, Governor Barber made it a priority, correctly so, understanding that to get our people back, our schools had to be open. So not long after the storm hit, literally within a few days, we were at a place up in Jackson that sold campers, motorhomes. And she bought one, and she drove it down here, and she parked it on the grounds of that elementary school, and she lived there for months and months so that kids could get back in school. Now, that seems extraordinary to me today, as it did to myself then. But as I look back on it, it really wasn't an extraordinary happening. It was actually quite ordinary, because that's what people all along this coastline were doing to get ourselves back, to get life back to some semblance of normalcy. And it proved every single time that when you worry not about yourself, but about helping others, we will always emerge stronger, we will always emerge better, and we will always emerge tougher together. We know that at Katrina's 30th and 40th and 50th anniversary, Mississippi and her people will still be here, and they will be a beautiful sight to see. Each day is a gift, and we never know what tomorrow might bring. That's why when Mississippi is challenged, we will always rise boldly to the occasion. Looking ahead, may we continue to not only invest in Mississippi's strength, but also keep our sights set on what really matters in this life, our love of God and our love of family. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. I want to close by thanking every single one of you for being here today. I'd especially like to thank Governor Barber, Director Gabbard, the mayor, and the tag, Bobby Ginn, for joining us. Let today be a reminder that Mississippi's story is not about survival, it's about victory. Let today be a reminder that God will always be with Mississippi, serving as a beacon, lighting our way through the storms and guiding us back into calm waters. And let today be a reminder that regardless of the mission set in front of us, no matter how big or how small, Mississippi can and Mississippi will accomplish it. Because, after all, that's just what Mississippians do. Thank y'all, and may God continue to bless this great state and this great nation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Coleman, Camp Shelby Holistic Health Coordinator, will now narrate the story of the storm.
How are you doing, sir?
Appreciate y'all for joining me. If you're just not joining, we are remembering Hurricane Katrina 20 years later. Shout out to New Orleans, and we have to. We're going to listen to the narration of the storm.
It's a story that begins in late August 2005 as Tropical Depression 12 forms over the Bahamas, where it rapidly intensifies into a Category 1 storm. The storm, now Hurricane Katrina, makes landfall in South Florida, leaving 1 million Floridians without power and over $630 million in damage. But Katrina was not done. Hurricane Katrina then moves across the Florida Peninsula and intensifies with the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, and now moves into a Category 5 hurricane. The date, August 28th, just one day before landfall. Over the 4 days leading to the landfall, residents of the Mississippi Gulf Coast were cautiously optimistic that maybe, just maybe, the storm would turn as they anxiously watched Katrina strengthen and head toward our beloved coastal communities. Monday, August 29th, 2005, at approximately 06:10 a.m., the eye of Hurricane Katrina makes landfall near the mouth of the Mississippi River in southeast Louisiana as a Category 4. Meteorological experts surmise that given the intense fury of Katrina, that once it made landfall, the coastline then transformed it into a Category 3. Then, at approximately 10:00, with sustained winds of 120 miles per hour, Hurricane Katrina then slams into the Mississippi Gulf Coast. The National Weather Service reported estimates of upper-level winds at 132 miles per hour, 90% reaching landfall. Then, there was the storm surge as it hit the Florida Panhandle and the Mississippi Gulf Coast, with nearly 30-foot-high winds and rains and water lines that went up to 6 miles inland. The eastern side of Katrina produced tornadoes well into Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And the coastal region was pelted with up to 12 inches of rain, hail, and flooding. As the storm continued north, it caused even more destruction, and all 82 of our counties were adversely affected. The unthinkable destruction of Hurricane Katrina left us with more than $125 billion in destruction across the Gulf Coast. And it's been mentioned earlier, we lost 238 lives. But as the governor said, however, this is not the totality of Mississippi's story. In 2005, there were no greater people than the residents of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Beyond the trauma, beyond the loss, beyond the devastation, a godly purpose emerged, personified by strength as Mississippians embarked upon our journey of recovery, epitomizing hope and resilience. Yes, the unprecedented challenges and aftermath of Katrina, yes, did galvanize us in our opportunities and sustainability for recovery. But our state did not sit and wait for a response. We did not wait. We did not ask for anyone else to fix our problems. We put our hands to the plow. We made things happen. Though they were misplaced and without homes, like all of us throughout the state, there's 51,000 members of the Mississippi Army National Guard that were the tip of the spear in our state's recovery. At this time, I would like to recognize the members of our Mississippi Army National Guard and let you know that we as a state commend you for taking point and taking the leadership in our state's recovery. In the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, it reads, "For our momentary light affliction is producing for us an absolute, incomparable, eternal weight of glory." Hurricane Katrina took us by surprise and took our breath, but only for a moment. The storm helped us to see the best in who we are as Mississippians, as a region, as a country. History will remember Katrina for the profound loss and destruction it caused. But our history will remember that Katrina showed the world who we are as Mississippians. A state that went through the storm, but emerged in triumph. God bless you, and God bless America.
Truly compelling